everyone. Welcome to another open mic podcast with High Street Young Adults. We're so glad that you're here with us today. And we have a really special person today on our podcast. I want to welcome Hailey Parks.
What's up?
We're so glad you're here, Hailey. Hailey is actually an intern with High Street, and today we are doing part 2 of our internship takeover.
Yeah.
And so, Hailey, tell me a little bit about what internship you're a part of and kind of your journey with the internship program.
Yeah, so I started, I guess, a year ago with the youth, and so I interned first level with the youth, and now I'm next leveling with the youth. And so really it's just been developing relationships. I'm with the high school girls, and it's been sweet to just do like small groups with them and get to know them on a deeper level. So I think it's pretty cool because personally I didn't have anyone when I was in my youth like pouring into me or investing in me. So it's been sweet to do that for them because I know how important it is.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, we're so glad that you're here today.
Thank you.
And today we have a special podcast for you. We're really excited. Hailey, a couple weeks ago, did a talk in our internship staff meeting on insecurity. And so we thought the podcast world needs to know about this too. And so today we are going to be diving into the topic of insecurity. I think insecurity is something that maybe we all deal with. So if you're out there listening, stick around because this is for you. So Hailey, tell us a little bit, like, why did you want to talk about this topic of insecurity?
Yeah, so I think that's something I struggle with every day. It's a battle I'd have to choose to fight. I think I started struggling with it back in elementary, middle school. I started noticing, I was comparing myself to other girls. I started noticing maybe I wasn't growing as fast as them, or I was getting pimples all over my face. I went through that stage, which is classic, but it doesn't matter. But I just think those things became who I was. I didn't have the Bible to look to replace it with truth. And so I was always believing that I was not beautiful or I was not as good as the other girl next to me. And so I think it's been something I've struggled with for a long time. And so it's even a fight I have to choose to do now because I had I learned those behaviors when I was young. So I'm still having to battle it, I guess.
For sure. So what would you say insecurity even is?
Yeah, so I would say it's just not feeling secure. It doesn't really matter. It can manifest itself into different aspects, but I would just say it's not feeling secure in who you are and who God has called you to be. But yeah, it can manifest into different things. It can manifest into body image. It can manifest into work. This internship, I felt insecurity. So it does manifest differently for everyone, but I just say it's not feeling secure in who God has called you to be.
Man, and obviously, like, our goal is to be able to feel secure so we can, like, not be weighed down by insecurity and just be free to be able to do whatever God has called us to do. But, you know, I know that we talk a lot about with insecurity, girls feel insecure, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that everybody struggles with insecurity?
100%. I would say guys struggle with it just the same. It's definitely going to look different, but and I can't speak for them, but I know that they for sure feel insecurity. Could be in their sports or work, like I was saying. But yeah, guys and girls, everyone. I don't think anyone's immune to being broken.
So we'll just make it clear we all struggle with insecurity.
Yeah.
So how can we fight this insecurity?
Yeah. So something that, I used to not be able to do it very well. I would just let it consume my thoughts and be who I was. I would say, okay, I'm thinking this, so that's who I am. And so I read this book, Telling Yourself the Truth. And so it's taking those things that you're believing, those lies, and replacing them with truth. So if you're always believing, like, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I can't do this, you're going to start to believe that. So replacing it with, I can do this, God has called me to this. He says, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, all these things. So it's taking the lies, writing them down, and replacing them with truth. But if you constantly are letting yourself believe these lies about you, you're going to let yourself believe them. And so it's a battle. Like I said, you have to choose to fight. So you can sit in it and wallow in it, or you can say, you know, this isn't true about me. I'm not actually this. I'm actually, I feel like God has called me to this, and I feel like I'm good at it, and that's okay. I think there's a godly confidence that we are allowed to have.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. So what does the Bible say about this?
Well, basically, we're not immune to brokenness. Like I was saying earlier, we're all going to struggle with things. God never promised us a life without suffering. And so I would just say that we have these insecurities. It's a part of this broken world, but he also says that he's given us a new label, and that's being his daughter or his son. And so it's replacing those things. So we need to replace the labels that maybe we've grown up with the new labels. I'm chosen, I'm forgiven, I'm seen, all these things. And I think God knows we struggle with it, and that's why he's given us his words and those specific things to help replace it.
That's so good. So it's like a perspective change.
Yeah,
Is what you
yeah,
would
and that's
say.
why it's a daily battle, because sometimes it's just easier to sit in it and be like, you know what, I do suck, and just sit in bed all day. But it is something you have to start to change your mind, and God says he gives us a new heart, and so he's given us the power to do that with him, with his spirit. So
That's so good. So what are some scriptures for anyone who's struggling with this that maybe they could write it down,
Yeah.
maybe they could meditate on to help them with this, just kind of switching your perspective?
yeah, so I would say the whole Bible
There you
is
go.
something you definitely need to just read, because if you are maybe doing on and off reading the Bible, you're still going to feel a lot of insecurity, and you're allowing the world to have an impact on you. So I would say it says in 2 Corinthians 10:5 to take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. And so taking those thoughts, let's say you wake up in the morning and you're just not feeling it. Go read the word and see what God has to say about that. And then daily, if it pops up in your mind, immediately take it captive and make it obedient to what God has to say about it. And it's something you're going to have to choose and something you have to learn. It doesn't come super easy. It may for some, I don't know, not for me. But for example, like I've been struggling with appearance and stuff like that. So let's say I don't feel like pretty one day. I sit and look at myself in the mirror and I say the things that God says about me, that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm chosen. I'm forgiven. I'm seen. I'm heard. All these things. And then it's a perspective change. I feel 100% better after. But I have to continue to do that. It's not just a one-time thing, I think. So, yeah.
So something you said earlier was that you have to like fight to win this battle, and it's a lot in our mind. So what, like, I don't know, I just think that constantly it's going to come up, right? So it's not like we can just sit back and be like, well, I kind of deal with this. It's fine though.
Yeah.
So what's something that made you be like, I got to get on this idea of like taking my thoughts captive?
Yeah.
Was there like something that changed in you that you were like, I just have got to take care of this?
Yeah.
Or was it just the Lord convicting you, or what was it?
A lot of things. I think I started to notice it was hindering my relationship with Christ.
Okay.
And so I was living my life in fear, and I was letting myself be seen as the labels that I was believing about myself. And I wasn't happy. I didn't want to be this way. I didn't want to feel this way. And so it was, I think, God reminding me, like, hey, this is not who you are. You don't have to believe this. I've already purchased you. I've already chosen you. And so I think he definitely convicted me in that. But I would just say, since I struggled with it so much when I was younger, once I started to process those things, I realized it was an issue that I struggled with and something that is common in my story. And so God was reminding me that he offers healing and he wants to help me. And so I decided to say yes to it and decided to fight it instead of sit in it.
Yeah, that's good. It's like you have to be actively choosing to fight it.
Yes.
And I think like in my life, I've had to have these moments of like, okay, wait, what am I even thinking about here?
Yeah.
And if I'm like letting my thoughts just drive what I'm doing, then it's like I am thinking constantly about myself
Right.
and who I am and how this isn't right or whatever. And then it's like, wait, this is all about me right now.
Yes.
And it should not be all
Yes,
about me. It should be like,
exactly.
God, I'm here to serve you. So what do you want me to do? And I was even reading about Moses this morning, and he was like, well, I can't do this. I don't have good speech. I can't do. And it was a lot of like,
Yes.
well, I can't do this.
I can't, yeah.
And I think that like it's so cool that God, in spite of that, he still used Moses, but like we can be that in that same position of like, well, I can't do this because I'm feeling insecure.
But God can.
But God can, yeah. And so like giving it over to him, like a daily surrender of like, Lord, maybe I do feel insecure, but I'm like going to surrender this back to you. And it's not like a one and done, amazing, I feel great. But it's like, okay, and I feel it again, so I'm going to come to you again.
Yeah, and I think that's just recognizing our weaknesses, but that the Holy Spirit is powerful.
Yes.
And God has given us that for a reason. And so it is being like, you know what? It's not all about me.
Yeah.
You know, it's not all about me. I may be feeling this, but I know it's not true.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let the Spirit work in my life. And it's also bringing it to light. I think there's power in bringing those things to light if we just are thinking them in our head and not ever talking about it with our community or anything, it's going to have power over us. That's why God talks about bringing things to light, bringing it to community. And so I've seen a lot of also just victory when I've talked to mentors or my friends. I've seen so much victory because they're able to also speak truth into me. And so it's like if people don't have good community around them,
Yes.
you need to get some because
Absolutely.
let them speak into your life. Because sometimes I think we put up a wall to God and we're like, I don't want to hear it today. And let's say you have your friends around though and they're physically there with you. I think God does that for a reason and brings them into your life.
I love that. I think, like, we talk about this all the time, but, like, community is so powerful.
Yes.
And it's like, I don't know how we could do it on our own and really, and it's crazy too because you think, well, maybe I am the only one dealing with insecurity, but then it's like you open up and it's like, oh, okay, you deal
Everyone's
with it too.
like, me too.
It's like, well, let's fight this together. And so that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Hailey, do you have any just final words or things to say about this topic?
I would just say if you're struggling with insecurity, which I believe we all do, like I said, it just is different, start to call it out. Bring people into your life that can speak and pour into you. Confess to Jesus that you've been feeling these things. Say, I have not been feeling worthy. I have not been feeling chosen. But I know this isn't true of me. And ask for forgiveness and start there. And then just start to bring community in. And maybe older, wiser people who've gone through this before you that can help speak into your life too. But something I do, I have this little thing, and I'll write down the lies I'm believing that day, and then I'll go read the Bible and see what it has to say, the actual truth. And then I can sit and be like, okay, my feelings aren't true in this, but this is true. And I'm going to let God work through me and be powerful in that. And so, yeah, I'd just say do that.
I love that. That's so awesome, and it's so helpful, too. So thank you, Hailey, so much for spending some time with us today and talking about insecurity. And our hope is that if you're out there and you're dealing with this, that you would find some victory in this area and start surrendering it over to the Lord, because we believe that he can help you and you can find your worth in him, because that's the only place that we could ever find our true worth. So, Hailey, thanks so much for being here.
For sure.
Yep.
I'm glad I got to talk.
Yes.